Was the PS5 the Final Fantasy 7R of console reveals or what? For the first hour or so after reveal, I was seeing all these crazy comments, all these people like, oh, this was the greatest console reveal of all time. This is the most hype-worthy thing ever. This is the most insane thing imaginable. Sony really hit it out of the park this time, and now crickets. Nobody really cares about it at all. Nobody's talking about it at all. The enthusiasm is basically dead, and I do think that's kind of interesting. It's kind of an interesting divide between like the immediate social media response and what the public, the actual consumers, will actually react to, or how they'll handle things. It's very, very interesting. I've talked about this before, about how like the general public doesn't really influence the internet community, and how like the internet community is like basically just this very devoted niche group of people, a very vocal minority that don't really amount much of anything to the gaming conversation. It's really, really interesting to see. We went from the games are more mature, more complex, more sophisticated, to essentially bragging about social media numbers, because I took a look on NeoGAF today, and people were bragging about how many views the PS5 trailer got, and I was thinking to myself, well, how do views translate to actual sales? And apparently they don't. Animal Crossing New Horizons sold significantly more copies than it got views on YouTube. For PlayStation games, it's like the opposite. Like they can get over 10 million pretty easily, but then like they don't actually sell shit once they actually come out, as we've seen with Final Fantasy 7R, The Last Guardian, Horizon Zero Dawn, all of this stuff, right? Like, they can't really compete with the Nintendo. They can't do what Nintendo does on a regular basis. It's kind of remarkable, actually. And because this divide is getting wider and wider and wider, right? It feels like you have this dedicated group of people on the internet who will buy basically every gaming platform that comes out, no matter what. And then you have the actual mass market, right? The actual consumers, the actual general audiences who are only picking these things up for the video games, right? Who want new, exciting software. And I think it's safe to say that PS5 did not deliver on that. PS5 was a complete train wreck from a software perspective. Like, essentially all you're getting are sequels to PS4 games and an expansion to a PS4 game in the case of Spider-Man Miles Morales, and really shitty looking indie games. Like, I don't know, it's weird. I think the most talked about thing coming up to the PS5 release was the PC port, and seeing how well Persona 4 is doing on Steam right now. There's no reason to continue, considering how simple Persona is. Like, there's no justification. Like, why do you need a PlayStation to play Persona? You simply don't. Like, the only issue we're having right now is that Atlus is simply refusing to port PlayStation's one game to other platforms, even though they have no real obligation to do so. It's so obnoxious and so ridiculous. I'll probably just I'll wait for the Switch port of Persona 4, which I'm sure is on the way. Persona 4 Gold, which I'm sure is on the way, and I'll wait for Persona 5. I can wait a long time. PlayStation fans will just continue bleeding exclusives and third-party games until then. Like, they really have no momentum, no real momentum going into next gen. It's kind of interesting to watch, and I'm wondering just when it's all going to come crashing down. what third party is going to go under this generation? By the looks of things, it's going to be Ubisoft, but who knows? It could be Ubisoft, it could be Capcom, it could be Square Enix, it could be any one of these companies that simply refuse to support Nintendo. And with each casualty, right? With each fallen development studio, we're going to see more and more people go independent and inevitably support Nintendo Switch. Obsidian would never have put Outer Worlds out on Switch as quickly as they did if they had still been working under Bethesda. I don't believe Doom Eternal is still out on Switch. I don't really care about Doom Eternal, but I don't think these big publishers are basically becoming obsolete. This is definitely something I want to talk about when it comes to my writing career as well, but these big publishers don't really do anything. Like, they're basically just getting in your way. They're trying. They just waste money, essentially. Don't really respect the creativity, the craft, and they're just not very. They don't contribute much to like the overall anything at all to the overall quality of the product. Like, really, the only reason they exist is to get money for the developers and to market their stuff. And they keep messing that up over and over again by putting games on the wrong platforms, by shitting on people for no reason. It's becoming increasingly woke, I think, is a big problem with big corporations in general, just outside of gaming. It's really, really weird seeing people just fuck over their profits in order to like not appear racist. It's weird to me, for sure. I don't really respect it at all. And I do think that's probably going to be the end of PlayStation. I think is that all of the best indie games, you know, the Hollow Knights, the Shantaes. Well, Shantae's not really indie, but you know what I mean. You know, the Hollow Knights, the Shovel Knights, the everything else that's coming out, these smaller games, right? Deadly Premonition 2, things like that. These games are going to come out on Switch without a problem, right? More and more of these smaller, better games are going to be coming on Switch, while these big budget, mass marketed games, the Call of Duties, the Halos, the Grand Theft Autos, are just going to get worse and worse. And eventually, people are going to wonder, why am I buying a new PlayStation for the same shit over and over and over again? And they're just going to migrate back to Nintendo and stay on Nintendo. Like, PlayStation essentially failed. I've talked about this before, but PlayStation's entire goal was to just get all these third parties, get them to abandon Nintendo, stop supporting Nintendo and Sega, and bankrupt them, drive them out of the industry, and force them to go third party for their gaming console. And this multi-billion-dollar corporation, one of the biggest in Japan, couldn't do it. They couldn't kill Nintendo, in spite of all of their efforts. It was. Nintendo's gotten bigger than ever because of this situation. Hopefully, more and more people will start to realize that, like, the PlayStation Nation was always putting out pro PlayStation propaganda. You know what I mean? Like the Final Fantasy VIIs, the Metal Gear Solids. Like, oh, you can only get cool, mature games on PlayStation. No, where are the cool, mature games now? Like, you have no franchises. Metal Gear is dead. Final Fantasy is dead. Literally everything on PlayStation is basically gone. You know what I mean? Like, every single classic PlayStation game from the 90s, you know, the Xenogears, the Crash Bandicoots, the Spyros, all the RPGs, basically everything is dead, unrecognizable, or really should be on Nintendo Switch, or has a better alternative on Nintendo Switch, especially in the case of like fighting games and stuff like that. The open world games, the RPGs, the action adventure games, like, we're at the point now, essentially, where there's no pretending that Switch is, the Nintendo console is inferior to the PlayStation one. Like, I kept seeing this growing up, where people kept, presenting the situation as being like, well, if you want to play Call of Duty, you have to have PlayStation. Well, I don't want to play Call of Duty because it's mediocre, rehashed bullshit. And it was, even back when Call of Duty 4 was new. Like, there was nothing impressive about Modern Warfare right from the get-go. It was just not a very good game. Like, people were just impressed by the online play, and that's where we are now, where people are still just, buying these games because, we've always bought these games, instead of, moving on to something good, something new, something interesting, something on Nintendo hardware. Like, it's just, it's so frustrating. It really was. Hopefully, in the next couple of years, especially as I begin to expand my career and talk more about like the superiority of Nintendo consoles over the competition, PlayStation is going to die. Like, it's inevitable. It's inevitable at this point. It's only still around because, like, all the money that Sony poured into it and how they don't want to give up, and it just, no, they have to give up. They have to. They've lost. Okay, they can't compete with what Nintendo is doing. They've basically lost all their real talent. They have nothing to offer, and the PS5 is going to be another major step downward into irrelevancy.